There's an expression that's very familiar, I think, to most people, and that's the best laid plans of...
A good sandbox is much more than that, and it's really simple to understand. RPGs aren't sandboxes, they're soap operas.
Would you like some pie?
Massive quantities and a glass of water, sweetheart. My socks are on fire.
Well, that clip from Black Lodge Games has sent awry my well-laid plans for this weekend. I was going to talk about the tremendous skill and enthusiasm and enjoyment that goes into products from Two Little Mice and their outgunned stuff. You might have heard me talk about them before with their previous hit, Broken Compass. But that video about the fantastic way they approach Kickstarter, we'll have to wait until next week. Instead, we have this term, soap opera. Now, obviously, I think the guys from Black Lodge Games will admit it's something designed to catch your attention, clickbait, as it were. And it's not necessary to really take the term soap opera to be the one true way into this idea. However, if the type of play that Black Lodge Games likes to talk about, that I like to talk about, and others have been talking about for a long time, if that's new to you, then videos like what they just released about role-playing games are soap operas, I think are really valuable. They can, of course, cause contention because, what I do is not a soap opera, that's dumb or whatever. But that's not really what they were talking about, was it? What were they talking about? If play is going to involve characters portrayed in a way that makes sense in that imagined setting, and if they're going to be given life by the player, meaning that the decisions made, the actions, reactions, and interactions that occur because of your decisions as the player, they all stem from who that character is, what that character wants, what that character can do, and the things holding them back and the things that are helping them move forward. Everything is grounded in that imagined situation and that imagined person. We pretend it's real. In their words, we see it through their eyes, in a lot of other people's words. Right? We play the character. Not everybody does play characters. They simply don't. Going back to the beginning of the hobby and right up to now, there are as many groups, if not more, that just simply don't encounter the aspect of playing the game through the understanding of the character. They adopt a more top-down view. They move the character. They encounter problems or conflicts. They deal with those conflicts. They enjoy playing a game with their friends, and they keep doing it for years. The metaphor of the soap opera, or if you prefer, the metaphor of role-playing games are just like professional wrestling, or if you prefer, role-playing games are just like movies, or just like radio plays, or just like theater, or just like improv, whatever metaphor, whatever filter you want to interpret the very separate medium of role-playing games as at the beginning, as you're getting into them, your choice doesn't matter, as long as it's helpful for you. You want to see it as improv, then you're going to focus on your ability to listen to what other people are saying and interact with them in a positive fashion that keeps things moving forward. If you're thinking about it as soap opera, then there's going to be a lot of relationships, right? And generally speaking, these will be relationships that are causing conflict, not necessarily violent conflict, but argument, competition, right? This sort of thing. And of course, somebody murdering someone else, no one knowing who it was. These situations, whether they come from the heel turns of wrestling, or the so-and-so is someone's illegitimate daughter / twin sister, whatever, from soap opera. No matter where you draw from, if we're considering accurately representing the character with any kind of verisimilitude related to that imagined situation that we as players are uniquely creating at our table, because, as we said many years ago, genre is rule zero. The people that you play with, the game that you play, and the way that you play it all conspire together to create a particular experience at your table. It doesn't matter what the game says it's about. It doesn't matter what the genre is. It doesn't matter what you say you're going to do. What matters is what you actually did, and whether or not you notice, whether or not you care, and whether or not you change it to make it more of what you want. If you want to move into a kind of play that is different from your normal play, so in this case, if you want to move away from play that has the player and the character at a far remove from each other, if you want to create that, as Primeval Fantasy likes to call it, that unity of perspective, or at least a near unity of perspective. You want to get into the head of the character and enjoy the experience of what it might be like to be that person in that imagined situation. Then you can't escape relationships. But what kind of relationships do you want? There are some groups who are going to lovingly dive into the notion of the very stereotypical, really crazy, over-the-top soap opera, and they're going to have a blast with it. And some might prefer, a more traditional dramatic structure, where we've got external conflicts and internal conflicts, and where there's maybe something that relates to you more as faction play. There's us and them and those people, these other people, where it's not all simply emotional play. It's not all occurring in the same few rooms with the same few people over and over and over again. It might start from a single character who recognizes they need help from someone else, and someone is drawn in. And that grows into a web of relationships that have grown out of play. Right? Relationships, of course, are a part of character creation. Somebody trained the character. Someone gave birth to the character and nurtured them into adulthood. Right? Characters come from somewhere. Characters come preloaded with relationships. How important are they to play? Does the character seem like an orphan? Why? It's a decision that you and your group have made. You have orphaned the character in a world with no relationships because... who knows? Likewise, the game group down the street has a table rich with relationships, but they never seem to go anywhere. They never seem to get anything done, right? Is this kind of play satisfying? Obviously for them it is. They keep doing it. Is that kind of play satisfying? Obviously for them it is. They keep doing it. Can they find more or different satisfaction in trying something else? Probably. Which brings us to the question of how. Which brings us to the recognition that by calling it soap opera, Black Lodge Games has made it easy to conceive of adding this into your game and made it easy to implement. It doesn't matter what you think soap operas are. That conception that you have of what soap operas are applied to your play will make a certain amount of sense. And then as you get experience with it and find the things about it that you really like and don't like, that make sense and don't make sense, you discard things and you amplify things until play at your table is exactly what the people at your table are looking for. This might mean dialing things down. This might mean ramping things up or just letting them ride. It's pretty valuable. Now, there are concerns, and that's how I want to end this video. There are concerns of maybe, even with a strong example like soap opera or wrestling or, Thursday night drama or a Netflix series or whatever, even without this, or even with this, it might seem like we don't know where to begin. And we don't know how far is too far and how far is not far enough. So many years ago, I put out videos on this topic. One is Genres Rule Zero, about our play. And then others are on empty and full worlds. There can be a risk that when we are starting to understand that play can be about who's in the world rather than the events that the players, because they're the players, because they have protagonists, because they're the players, because it's a story, have to deal with, right? When we shed that perspective of play, or if we step into a different perspective of play, we can recognize that play can be about the people who are doing things in the imagined world. How many intersections there are, how many conflicts are created, this is a matter of taste. So we can wind up with a world that's too full for your PCs. There's an NPC that's already doing what they want to do, and they're better at it. And there are NPCs that are working against the PCs, everything they try. So they just simply can't fit into the world. It's too full for them, right? It doesn't hold them at all, right? If they are water and this is a bowl, the bowl is full. The empty world, well, it doesn't ever really seem like anybody's doing anything except the PCs, and everywhere they go, an NPC is being invented on the spot out of nothing. They aren't intrinsically tied to that location. They're not doing anything there. It's just, oh, we go to the bar and we see if we can find someone who knows some local lore. Oh, right, good idea. So then the bar comes out of nowhere, and the person in the bar comes out of nowhere, and they lack substance. It doesn't really matter. Or somewhere in between. Right? So finding that balance between the lifeless world with only the PCs active in it and the full world which has no room for the PCs to enter, somewhere in the middle is where the fun is. Well, how do we figure that out without lots and lots of failure? No, this isn't good enough, so I need to add more, and oh, this is too much, so I need to take stuff away. Sometimes it can feel like we need to stop the campaign and restart, and that kills momentum and it can be frustrating. Right? So if you're in the position where it still doesn't seem like something you're confident trying, and all the talking head videos on YouTube aren't helping either, then I might suggest taking a look at some games that are built on this principle explicitly to one degree or another. And so the example I want to show is Technoir. This is a game that was written by Jeremy Keller a long time ago, and it's since been purchased and made available again by a different company. This is Dream Machine Productions. So you can get it in PDF or in print on demand. It's a lovely book. It's definitely worth getting all on its own. But the valuable for this conversation, part of it, is how it talks about building relationships between all the different characters in a setting, especially as tied to a mystery. But you can replace mystery with other motivations. Right? What do they know about each other? What do they know about this event or this thing or this person or this murder or what have you? What do they know? How many steps removed are they from the characters? What will it take to bring these characters into the ability to act, react, and interact with each other? And this can all be very simply done without creating fat binders full of highly detailed NPCs with their locations and the dates and times of their birth and their star signs and all this stuff, and yet have sufficient information to portray them as people well and confidently, to have an understanding of where they are usually and what they do normally and what they want generally and what they want right now and what they need and what's chasing them, what's pushing them forward, what are they worried about. All of these things can be simply represented on a single piece of paper. It's kind of interesting, right? So the other thing that this really helps explain is this notion of the empty world and the full world. We can make that map of people so tight that we can't make a move without bumping into someone who knows something or wants something or needs something. Right? And play becomes artificially fast, easy, and again it starts to feel like the world doesn't extend beyond the bubble of the PCs. Similarly, it can be made far too big, so there is really no way to navigate within it. So, I hope this suggestion of a game like Technoir can help add some extra meat to the bones of you can conceive of a role-playing game as a set of relationships. Whether that is a set of relationships like you would see in a soap opera, or like you would see in a movie, or like you'd experience in a book, or some other form of fiction, that part doesn't matter. But the characters that we are portraying will have relationships. How important are they to your play? What does it add to bring them into play? And how do we actually bring that about? If we don't do it, want to try it. I definitely think it's worth it. Having played in a wide variety of styles over many years, it doesn't matter if where my satisfaction falls is in this type of play that we are describing. I think there's value in the journey of seeing what's out there and how we can play. And if that, really not by coincidence, really by design, leads us to something that we're not doing that we enjoy more than what we're doing, then great. And if by misfortune it leads us into types of roleplay that are less satisfying, well, still, that teaches us a lot about what we like and how to get it. There's no harm in investigation. Anyway, this video is long enough. Till the next one. Take care.
I was fine. Compelling.